Hello friends, let's continue our chapter theory based accounting. We were on the concept basis of accounting. My name is CA Rahul Bajaj and this series is helpful for 11th, 12th and CA foundation students. So let's study basis of accounting. There are two broad approaches for accounting. One is cash basis, another is accrual basis. So what is difference between cash basis accounting and accrual basis accounting? So cash basis accounting is very simple. It is when cash is received or paid, then accounting to be done. For example, if a house rent for the month of November 14 is paid in February 15, then accounting will be done only in the month of February 15. That is my cash basis of accounting. Cash basis considers only when cash is received or paid, then only accounting has to be done. If any transaction which took place but cash is not received or paid, then that transaction is not recorded in the cash basis accounting system. Then we will move to the another concept, accrual basis. Accrual basis is system where it is period based system, so the expenses or revenues or cost to be recognized in the books of account in the period in which they occur. जो पीरियड में एक्सपेंस या रेवेन्यू हुआ है वही पीरियड के लिए रखना है. So in this above example, if expenses are for the month of November 14 month, then it will be recorded in the books for November month only, not in the month of February. This is the difference. So the period in which they are earned rather than the period in which they are actually paid or received. Cash settlement नहीं देखना है इसमें. We have to just see the period in which that is incurred. So in case of monthly expenses, say monthly I am paying a rent of 25,000 and I have monthly I am incurring rent of 25,000 and I am paying it quarterly. So what will happen in cash basis of accounting? It will be recorded in at the end of each quarter, but in accrual basis of accounting it will be recorded in each month for as a rent payable okay. So rent expense account debit to rent payable, this will be my entry in case of accrual system. In case of cash basis, the cash is gone out, so expense to be debited, rent expense account debit to cash oblique bank account. So now we will move to next concept, which is accounting standard. What is accounting standard and what is the meaning of accounting standard and objectives of accounting standard? Accounting standard are a written policy document covering all the aspect of recognition, measurement, treatment and presentation and disclosure of accounting transactions. Okay, well, once again I am repeating, accounting standards. Standard means standard procedure, say standard document or say a benchmark. Okay, so a written policy, it is a policy written for covering the aspect of recognition, measurement, treatment, presentation and disclosure of accounting transaction. So why we need accounting standards? So like I am Mr. X and Mr. Y is there. So Mr. Y will be using another set of accounting treatments. I am doing different, I am using alternative methods. Everyone is using their own methods, correct? So that is not to bring uniformity. Okay, everyone should be on the same page. To eliminate like to make financials of Mr. X, Mr. Y or anybody comparable, there should be a set of rules. Those rules are my accounting standards. This enhance my reliability on financial statement, because once the rules are set, everyone is following the same, then two financials prepared by company A, company B or anyone is now comparable because those are following same rules, same policies. So there is a need of accounting standard. Moreover, everyone like currently every country have their own accounting standards, their own parameters. But now the world is moving towards IFRS, International Financial Reporting Standards. What is happening there? In that International Financial Reporting Standard, entire world will follow same accounting practices. So the financials which are prepared in India or Singapore will become comparable. Currently, they are not comparable because there are certain different rules. So, if an investor wants to invest money in Singapore or US, then he may not have a comparable financials as compared to Indian financials. So, that is new thing which is coming out, IFRS. So, we will move to the next point right now. So what are the benefits of accounting standard? Correct, as discussed right now, to bring uniformity and full disclosures. So the set of policies mention how to treat your transaction, how to recognize, how to disclose, how to present. All those parameters are considered in accounting standards. So this will bring uniformity. So company A and company B, those financials of those companies will be now comparable because everyone in India is following accounting standards that way. Alternate accounting treatment and valuation norms used by, so accounting standard is not that rigid that the rules are policies are such that everything should be followed in that way. There are certain alternative methods. Say all the company nature of transactions and business nature is different in many cases. So say for example, I will give valuation of inventory. There are three type of valuation: FIFO method, LIFO method, weighted average cost method. In FIFO method, what we say, first in first out, means valuation will be done on the inventories which are of latest quantities. In LIFO method, last in first out, those inventory which came late, whatever valuation they have, that is sold out, we assume in that case, and the valuation of closing stock will be done on the earlier, the original first transaction. In weighted average, what we do, average total quantity, total rate, and we derive closing valuation. Such alternative methods are given, so that we will discuss on later parts. Eliminating variations in accounting treatment. So if there are standard policies and set of rules, then everyone will follow those rules. Only in case of exception or something, there will be some differences. But generally, the accounting standards are in such a way that there won't be any such transaction which is being ignored or which is not considered in accounting standard. And accounting standard also mentions about disclosures. So whatever disclosures are required by the law are to be covered. Then this financials will be useful for general public or investor and creditors. So those policies are known as mentioned accounting standard. So now right now also I have told you about to facilitate comparability. Okay, so once everyone is following same standards, then the financials will become comparable, be it intercompany or intra-company. Intercompany means a company A is comparing financials with company B, but intra-company means company A comparing its unit 1 and unit 2's financials. So that way, intra-company means within the company. Intercompany means comparing with third party. So let's move to the next point. So what are the limitations of accounting standard? Say in certain cases there are different choices are given or alternatives given. So treatment for accounting becomes sometimes difficult. Okay, if accounting standards are rigidly followed, then it fails to the extent flexibility of applying accounting standard. So there will be a limitation for flexibility for applying accounting standard. Then next point is accounting standards cannot override statute. Means if law is saying something and accounting standard is saying different thing, then one has to follow the law. Law has to be followed and accounting standard has to be ignored. This is very important. Whenever there is a conflict in accounting standard and statute, then law should be followed and accounting standard to be ignored. Then you will say ये accounting standard किसको applicable है? So accounting standard is applicable to sole proprietor, partnership, societies, trust, Hindu undivided family, association of person, cooperative societies, exceptly a charitable organization purely and does not have commercial, industrial or business activity, then accounting standards are not applicable. Then you will say कि all accounting standards will be applicable to these people. No, there are certain level 1, level 2, level 3 enterprise that has been defined by the MCA and Accounting Standard Board. So accounting standards, those will be, the criteria is given that which accounting standards are applicable to everyone, which accounting standards are not applicable. So based on level 1, level 2, level 3 and enterprise, the list of accounting standards those are applicable will be mentioned. So time being, the relevant portion we have studied based on our curriculum. So we will move to the next chapter, chapter number 3, recording of transactions. Recording of transactions, we are starting with points. So every transaction there should be for recording a transaction there should be a source document. So source document is called as a voucher. Okay, so every transaction involves something like give and take, then only it will become transaction. Something must have been given or something must have been taken, then only means both give and take should be there, then only it will be a transaction. If something is given for some consideration, say money or something, then it will become our transaction. So what, let's start with the definition of voucher. Voucher is source document. So for every transaction there should be a source document before recording in the books of account. The transaction involves aspect of give and take. A document which provides evidence of transaction is called voucher. So you can take this as a definition of voucher. Voucher is nothing but a document which provides evidence of transaction is called as a voucher. Okay, then vouchers to be arranged in chronological order, means the way they are happened. Say 10 days before transaction to be first, then 9, so like last month's transaction to be there, then current month's transaction, then subsequent month's transaction. So it should be in chronological order, 1 2 3 4 5 6. It should be serially numbered. So recording in books of account must be on the basis of voucher. Say without a voucher, a recording should not be done in books of account. So the vouchers can be classified as a cash voucher, debit voucher, credit voucher, journal voucher. We'll see detailed definition of this voucher in subsequent part. All the vouchers must be preserved. Okay, so basic records must be preserved with applicable to relevant tax and companies law. Okay, say if Companies Act says something, then records to be maintained to that period. If income tax says say it must be kept for 7 years, then it has to be kept for 7 years. So in generally the case, in case of income tax, the record must maintain for 7 years, and in case of Companies Act, records to be kept for 10 years. Let's move to the next point. Say there is no, so you will ask me, see what is the format of voucher? So there is no specific format of voucher, so, but there are certain criteria which should be mentioned in the voucher. So following are the essential elements that should be in voucher. That should a voucher must contain that. So first of all, we will say name of the firm. Every document, every voucher must present name of the firm must be printed on top of the voucher. Then date of transactions. So the date on which transaction is occurred. Okay, that date has to be written on voucher, not the date on which accounting records are prepared. Say a voucher is prepared for purchase of goods, or say a cash memo is prepared, cash voucher for cash given of 500 rupees to Mr. X. Then if it is given, cash is given today, then it should be, the date should be mentioned on the voucher is today's date, not the date on which recording of transaction is done. Say recording of transaction can be done weekly, bi-monthly or monthly, that is a different part, but voucher must contain a date, and which should be date of transaction. Voucher must be serially numbered. Every voucher should have been serially numbered. Voucher must mention debited and credited. Voucher must mention so debit and credit amount must be mentioned in figures. Description of transaction. Whatever transaction happened, what you have to describe the about that. That is called as a narration. Narrating about the transaction is known as narration. So we will be writing narration about transactions, and name of the person who prepares the vouchers, and signature of the person, name of the person, authorized person, and signature of authorized person. And accounting voucher has to be prepared on good quality paper, because we have to maintain that, preserve. Fine. If we are okay with this, then we will move to balance sheet accounting equation. So balance sheet accounting equation says that asset, what is my balance sheet? Balance sheet. So whatever is left over is my balance sheet. So as on particular day, I will be having some assets, some liabilities, and my capital. So as name suggests, balance sheet. Balance sheet is a statement of assets, liabilities, and capital. Asset means what entity owns, that is asset for entity. What entity owes, that is liability for entity. Anything receivable to entity, that is asset for the entity. Anything payable by the entity is liability for the entity. We have seen basic concept of accounting, in which accounting assumes that business entity concept. What business entity concept says? Business is distinct and separate from its owner. Correct. So now capital is also liability for business, because business is different person and owner is different. Correct. Hence capital, owner's capital is shown on liability side. Now we will move to next point, accounting equation. So like assets are to be equal to liability. Correct. Liability means my internal liability as well as my external liability. So internal, that liability, the entity is payable to, asset must be equal to liability. Correct. Then we will subdivide liability payable to third party, liability payable to owner. So now we have derived definition, like assets are equal to liability plus capital. So now we will just present it alternatively. Asset minus my liabilities equal to my capital. Correct. Liabilities minus my capital equal to my asset minus my capital equal to my liability. So now we will be moving for next concept, that is using debit credit and rules for passing debit and credit entries. So what we are studying, double entry accounting system. Every transaction must have twofold effect, dual impact. Correct. So every transaction to be recorded at least in two accounts. Correct. The amounts recorded in two accounts must be same. So total amount debited must be equal to total amount credited. Then only my financials will tally. So I cannot pass an entry with debit 100 rupees and credit 80 rupees. The amount must be equal for each entry. Correct. Then we will see accounts. Account is look like a letter T, because it is T shape. If we will see in later part of our lectures that how ledgers are prepared. So now we will call it as a T account because it is a T shape. Now we will move to next part, how to pass debit entry and credit entry. So any transaction which is increasing my asset, it should be debited. Any transaction which is decreasing my asset must be credited. And increase in expense to be debited, decrease in expense to be credited. Increase in liability must be credited, decrease in liability to be debited. Increase in revenue to be credited, decrease in revenue to be debited. See here what we see: asset and expenses getting same treatment, liability and income. Revenue is my income, liability and my income is having same treatment. So asset debit, increase in asset means asset to be debited, and decrease in asset to be credited. Increase in expenses to be debited, decrease in expense to be credited. Increase in liability to be credited, decrease in liability to be debited. Increase in revenue oblique gain to be credited, decrease in revenue oblique gain to be debited. So now we have we must remember 2 points. Treatment for asset and expenses are similar. Now I am just writing here: assets, expenses, same treatment. Correct. And similarly, liabilities and income, same treatment, or debit and credit. So if I have to increase liability, I have to credit it. If I have to increase my revenue, I have to credit it. If I have to decrease my liability, then I have to debit it. If I have to decrease my revenue, then I have to debit it. Simple, very basic concept. This is most important part of the accounting. On this basis, we will be moving towards practical problems in subsequent lectures. Thank you. If you want this series to be continued, please subscribe my channel, and if you have any queries, please ask me in comment box, and you can mail me your queries at rahulbajaj41@gmail.com. You can write subject as accounting series, and you can write your questions. I will be replying to all the queries. Thank you everyone. Thank you for being part of this series.